What is up, cool cats of the interwebs? It is your girl Haley back at it again with another episode of the pre-review crew, this time for August and September 2021. Now, you guys know what the deal is. You've been here before. If you haven't been here before, you'll figure it out very soon. But let me introduce you to my squad. That's always the absolute same, and I adore them so much. Tonight we have Brennan.
Hello.
And as always, we have the great Mike.
So,
So,
man, build me up.
oh God, I take it all back. Anyway, so we're gonna start off the episode talking about the games that came out last month. So, if you don't know what we reviewed Starmancer, 12 Minutes, and No More Heroes 3. We're gonna start off with Starmancer. So, it's an indie construction slash management type game. It's developed by Ominex Games and published by Chucklefish, the same people who did Stardew Valley. It came out on PC. It was released on August 5th, and currently the reception of the game is pretty mixed, according to Steam.
Yeah. So, remember how excited I was for this? Well, I bought it on day one, and I probably refunded it at least a couple hours later because while it has a lot of potential to be a really cool star-based construction and management game, there's a host of issues, and I feel bad saying that because I know it's a really small team. It's a team of 2 people, and since they've released it, they've already put in a number of updates. But it's just one of those experiences where, like, I can't even begin to describe how janky everything kind of feels. Not janky playing it wise, but there was just so many bugs, so many game-breaking bugs. Like, for example, most of my colonists, sometimes they would just stop moving. They would just stop, and with no conceivable way to move them at all. So I was done. There was a big there was a big morale issue when the game originally launched, where if your colonists would get too sad, they would end up going into a doom loop and just fighting other colonists that you had, and that just wouldn't really work out in your favor. The star map had issues. The main quest had issues. A lot of people don't even, there's like a tutorial in the game, and most people don't even do the tutorial until like a couple hours in because it's just so game breaking and they want to have a strong base to start the game with. Now, there are people that are having fun, and there are people that have played dozens of hours of this game, but I can definitely see why it's sitting at mixed on Steam. And I feel very similarly. Like, I want to see this game do well in like a year, 6 months, and come back to it. And obviously it's an early access, so yeah, you have to give them some level of benefit, I guess, benefit of the doubt that they'll fix it. But I don't know, man. I refunded it. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it has a lot of potential. It has a lot of potential to be, I don't want to say competitor to something like RimWorld, but it's similar to RimWorld, but not quite the same. But yeah, I can definitely see why it's sitting at mixed. And it's unfortunate because it's a small 2-man team and they only have 4 hands, so they can only do so much. But that being said, though, I'll continue to follow it and watch the game grow. And if the bugs get ironed out and the gameplay experience, especially the beginning tutorial, is smoothed over, then I would definitely give it another shot in the future.
And we should have started this off by saying that Starmancer is early access. So going into something like this, you sort of need to expect that there's going to be bugs, expect things to be broken. I feel like if you are going, you sort of have to go in with this mindset that this isn't finished at all. You don't want to shit on a game, especially made by a 2-person team, that isn't complete. Like, they can only do so much while they have other things going on in their lives. But they do say that they've been working on Starmancer since around 2015, and that is a very, 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 very long time. They've come a long way. So I hope that they slowly take everyone's feedback from this early access and that they definitely fix everything because it seems like it has potential. So I feel like this can definitely go a long way if they can get those major bugs fixed.
And I mean,
Yeah,
we've seen games, come out and they're just totally trash, and then they slowly build something amazing. That was No Man's Sky did the same thing. So I'm kind of hoping that this game, because this looks like a cool game, when I watch the trailers and stuff, watch people play it, I thought it was a good concept. So I'm hoping, since it is early access, that by the time they do fully release it, that it could, potentially become something, that people are going to want to play.
yeah. And I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where like I wish that there was maybe a bit more play testing beforehand or maybe a demo. Just because I don't know, I'm one that's I've been burned before by early access games, and to me this is just kind of like another notch on my wall of and to be honest, it's completely expected to because it's an early access game, but I don't know. I feel like it could have at least taken another month or two to really iron out and have it be play tested again. I know it's only two people, but a small demo or something would have been nice just to dip your toes in to be like, okay, well, there's still a lot of bugs, so I'm gonna hold off. Um, Otherwise, some people legitimately feel burned. They'll put $20 in this game and then leave a bad review and then forget about it, and that's kind of unfortunate. I feel like that would have been circumvented with a demo of some kind. I just want all games to have demos again. That's just my own personal opinion.
I mean,
But
it seems like even though everything is mixed, like I said, it has potential. I feel like I feel like, I don't know. It's been in production for so long, even though it is only a two-person team. I feel like somewhere along the lines they could have ironed out just like basic bug fixes, but maybe those didn't come along until they actually had a mass amount of people play it. So, I mean, we'll see. I feel like it's definitely a game that should continue to be followed, and I hope that the two developers take everyone's feedback and definitely improve upon it.
mhm. Yeah, me too. I'm definitely excited to see where it'll be in like again 6 months or a year from now because again, I want it to be like, you know, RimWorld in capacity, something like that.
We are next going to talk about 12 minutes. This game was definitely different, with a top-down view. So the genre of this is an indie adventure game. Its developer is Luis Antonio and published by Annapurna Game Interactive. Always get caught up on saying that word. I don't know why. Its platform is PC, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X, sorry, PS4 and PS5 players. It released on August 19th, and it seems like this one has a little bit of mixed reviews as well. It's sitting at a top critic average of 78, with only 71% of critics recommending. Now, last time we did say that this came with some pretty famous actors tied to it. So, I mean, I know voice acting can't save a game, but I'm still very, very surprised.
Voice acting can go a long way, though.
Yeah, it definitely can. And that's something that came up in plenty of reviews, where even if people didn't really like the gameplay experience, they were like, yeah, the voice acting was pretty good.
Okay, I just want to preface this that as of right now, like opening the Open Critic link, the top critic average is now 77, and only 67% of critics are recommending it.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, you're right. Huh. Yeah, I watched two different reviews on this one. I watched one, and I forget whom I watched. Um, but one person really liked it, and they thought it was like a great cinematic piece of narrative, and being able to go through all of these different options and the loop was an engaging experience that allowed for discovery and cause and action. And then I watched another review where someone completely flat out didn't like it at all. as for the same reasons that I said before. It's so it really seems to be like you love it or you hate it. I don't really know what to make of that. I mean, we were kind of skeptical on it originally. Like, yeah, we said that the cast was going to be really cool and that might bolster it a bit, which it certainly has in some of these reviews, but it seems that like the gameplay isn't isn't all that it's chalked up to be.
Like, I feel like. Hold on, let me pause. It's a different type of game. I don't really know many top down view games, especially ones this narrative driven, um, off the top of my head. So I feel like that in itself is going to lead to people who are like, I like this game, and people who go, I hate this game. Because not everyone is going to be interested in that top down style view. So I feel like right off the bat, that's just one of the things that people are going to complain about is because you can't see everything that's happening face on. I've watched a little bit of gameplay just because I do plan on playing this game, and I thought it was really interesting. It's still something that I want to see. I think it's something that I sort of hope that somebody else takes this concept and runs with it because I think it can definitely lead to something a lot more exciting. It's sort of just like, how do you make everything different? Because what I'm seeing in a lot of the open critic reviews is this was very repetitive. And in a game like this, that's sort of what I expect. That's just like Returnal. You die in that game, you're going back. So I don't really think that people are used to that style of game yet, where if you die or you do something wrong, you have to go back to the beginning. And I feel like it's a new concept that developers are starting to put out there. So I hope more people do it and do it well, and that players just get used to it.
Yeah, looking at this, um, I think it was a good experiment and it kind of showed some of the flaws that something like this would have. So, I'm hoping, like you're saying, more games come out like this and they could kind of learn from 12 minutes, what did they do wrong, what did they do right, and hopefully be able to create, games of this sort of formula and be able to get the formula better and help perfect it.
Also, it's like this is all it is a point and click game. Like it's nothing groundbreaking besides it being a top down view, and I feel like people just aren't used to that view. So, and I like it. I think it's different. Instead of just seeing through one person's eyes, you can see the whole story. So I kind of want more of that, because it tells a different aspect to stories that you can't get out of, say, like a third person view. Oh, I guess it sort of is like a third person view, but it's like a different third person view. So, yeah, I think this is just a cool twist on a point and click game.
It is. It is. I mean, because I feel like the old point and click games, I don't know, they never really took this kind of. I mean, I haven't really played too many old point and click games, but I feel like they didn't necessarily do the whole loop thing over. The loop is, again, some people love it and some people hate it. And another thing that some people love and some people hate apparently is the ending. Apparently the ending is very divisive. Obviously, I don't know what the ending is, but a lot of these reviews are saying you're either gonna love it or you're gonna hate it, which kind of applies to the whole game as a whole.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, this definitely the perspective is what makes it unique, and the fact that it's bolstered by such a, I don't know, a stacked voice cast. Even though, again, one of these reviews that I'm reading, it says awkward dialogue. Awkward dialogue and controls pull you out of the moment from dashgamer.com. And I mean, you could have the best voice acting in the world, but if there's no direction or if there's no writing that carries them, then they're ultimately going to fall flat. So you can have Willem Dafoe in there, but if you're telling Willem Dafoe to just scream into a microphone, I don't know if you know what I mean. Like there's a give and take, with your voice cast. You have to at least have the writing, you know what I mean? Like they could have even taken out Willem Dafoe. They could have put in someone completely else, completely different. Would that have changed it? I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's ultimately again dependent on the writing and the direction, and we don't necessarily know how that goes. And again, it might be for some people, it might not be.
I think the one thing that just surprises me is like reading a lot of the reviews. It's like a lot of people gave it like a 7.5 or like an 8. Some people gave it a 9. And I'm sitting here like, how is the percentage for critic recommending so low? Like, it seems like people at least enjoy it to a certain point. So it sort of just blows my mind that like people just aren't recommending this game. And I mean, it just came out. Granted, I know it's not going to be for everyone, but it seems at least the majority of the people that are playing it at least like it in some capacity.
Yeah, which, again, as what Mike said before, hopefully they'll take this as other game developer other game developers will take this as like a lesson, like what can we learn from this? Because yeah, I mean, ultimately it is a really interesting concept, and we even have something like Deathloop coming up in the next couple months, I think, and like that also is another loop kind of game, and so I'm wondering how people are going to take to that as well.
It did.
But this definitely seems maybe like a cult hit, possibly, dependent on how many people are, how passionate people are about this.
I feel like it's almost like a new type of genre. This, okay, you die, go back to the beginning. And what can you do differently? Like we're seeing it here. Like I said, we saw it with Returnal. And I kind of like that because it offers a different replay value to the game. It can be frustrating at times because you go all the way back to the beginning or you have to start over. But again, it's just how can the player be smarter without the game holding your hand? So I'm very curious to see that in future games and what developers come up with because like I said, it's almost like this new type of genre. We're seeing a lot of games like this come out now. So I'm very curious to see where it goes from here. It seems like it's very popular within shooters, which I definitely understand. There was that other game that was kind of like this too. Shit. We saw, we did it. We talked about it in a previous episode, but I forget what it's called. It's eluding me right now. So yeah, like I said, definitely curious to see how this branches out into other genres. Like this is doing point and click. We've had some shooters, so we'll see if it hits anything else. Maybe even like adventure titles.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Gotta play as Nathan Drake and go back in time over and over again, or like Laura Croft. There we go. Take that idea and run with it. She gets a time turner like Hermione and Harry Potter. Look at that. Somebody craft up that video game right there. I won't even charge you for that idea. You can have it. It's a free one. But credit me if you make that game. I'm smart. And nobody agrees.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Quite. Anyway,
Thanks.
Rug.
Thanks. I'm gonna cry. Anyway, the last game on our list to talk about for August is No More Heroes 3. So it's an indie action adventure. It's developed by Grasshopper Manufacture and published by Marvelous. It's coming out on the Switch, and technically it comes out tomorrow. We're reviewing this on, we're actually recording this on the 26th. The game comes out on the 27th, so review scores right now are to be determined as they aren't dropping review scores until the game actually releases. So what we are going to do is just skip right over this title and you can check out how the game did next month when we review September's games. So we are going to kick it over to our preview portion now for the month of September, super close to the end of the year, but here we go. First game we're going to talk about is Tales of Arise. It's a single-player action role-playing game developed and published by Bandai Namco, and well, everybody gets it besides Switch. It's coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PC. It releases on September 10th.
Did
yeah, this
you
is.
play? Did you play the demo, Mike? Sorry.
Yeah, I played the demo. I was just about to say I played the demo.
How was
Um,
it?
it's pretty good. It's a beautiful looking game. I played it on the PS4, and even on the PS4, I was like, wow, this looks really, really nice. It's really colorful. I like the character designs. Um, and it plays like a Tales game. I mean, if you like Tales games before, think you like this. This is why I'm kind of really looking forward to this. Is I played which ones have I played? I played Graces, Zestiria, and Berseria. And I enjoyed all three of them. So this seems to be following a lot of the patterns. There's some stuff that they're adding and kind of changing, but from what I saw, if you love Tales, you're gonna really be digging this one.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been reading so far. Is that it? So far, it's just really really cool.
Yeah.
Combat's really snappy. Uh, Everything's really colorful. Obviously, graphically, it looks amazing. Um, I haven't played a Tales game since Tales of Symphonia back on the GameCube, like decades ago. I mean, 1 decade, two. I don't know how old I am anymore. Um, but so looking at like where the series was and where it is now, obviously different games. Like there's no, I mean, some of the games have interwoven stories, correct? But
Mm,
for the most part, they're mostly standalone titles.
from what I played, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, I feel like this is really cool. Like I haven't played a Tales game in forever, but I've been dying to play this demo and I'm just too lazy to pick it up. But even though I was just saying before how much I love demos. Um but yeah, no, this just looks snappy. It just looks really, really cool. And it also seems like a really good jumping off point for people that have never touched a Tales game before ever. So that's cool too.
Yeah, it was a little easier, for me at least, compared to like Grace's. It felt a little easier to like set up my character, with like my actions and stuff like that.
Mm.
And it really helped explain, what you're supposed to do, which you're in battle and stuff like that.
What were your impressions of the combat? Like again, I've only played Tales of Symphonia, so like the combat back then is very, very bare bones and basic, but well, at least compared to now. So what were your feelings on the combat?
I really enjoyed it. Man, lots of words right now. It was really smooth. You know, because it just played like Berseria did. You go into combat and then it was just really smooth. It was really the controls are really easy to get used to. Um, I played as oh, what was her name? Shion, I don't know. And she carries a gun with her, so it was really cool. Just sniping out people, and she also chucks grenades and stuff like that, which just felt different than anything I played before. So this was just really smooth. It's really beautiful. Um,
Okay, hold on.
a little easy.
Question. I'm not familiar with any of the Tales games.
Okay.
So, are they all connected? Are they all not connected? Like, are they standalone? Like, how?
Some of them have sequels. They're kind of like Final Fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
You
is
don't
this one? I know
yes.
Brendan said that this would be a good starting place for some people. So, I'm assuming that this one is just its own.
Yeah, this is just its own.
Yeah. And that's not even coming from me. I mean, that's coming from stuff that I've read where a lot of people are just like, this is great for newcomers. And especially the article that I'm reading right now is this guy has never played a Tales game before in his life, and he thought it was great. Quote, Tales of Arise is fast, furious fun, and a JRPG that's surprisingly light on his feet by
Yeah.
Nadia Oxford, Rock, Paper, Shotgun. So that's pretty much exactly what I want to hear, really. It's like, I don't know. We haven't. I mean, I'm not super caught up on JRPGs, but I feel like we haven't had one that's. I don't know. I just feel like we haven't had a JRPG in a while. I don't know. Is that just me?
The last big one was Persona 5.
My biggest question is, Mike, which edition are you getting?
Just the normal. I look at all the different editions coming out. I really don't care about costumes. So, um, I am pre-ordering it. You get the Sephiroth wing if you pre-order it, which is cool.
But the
Oh hell
little
yeah!
little customizable poodle plush, that's adorable.
Well, I'm getting it for Steam, so I don't get the
Oh,
physical
okay.
edition or anything.
You heard it here first, guys. Mike doesn't like the physical editions.
If I could get a physical edition, I do. I prefer having physical discs, compared to having it on digital. It's just like I said, I'm buying it for PC, so they don't do physical for PC anymore.
RIP all of that. That's just
But
nonsense.
yeah, like Brendan was saying, if you're looking for an entryway into JRPGs, because some JRPGs can seem daunting, this is a great way to just really jump into it and experience, what JRPGs have to offer. The characters are great, the artwork is great, the combat is great. It's really just, a complete package that I think people, experienced and new will both enjoy.
I think Mike should buy everyone a copy of the game.
I think we should all play the demo.
Yeah, yeah,
Hey!
hey, there's a demo, go play it.
Yeah, demos. Yeah.
So we're all gonna play the demo, and we're gonna come back here next month and give our opinion on what we thought of the demo.
And then Haley's gonna buy it off for us.
I'm broke, but hey, that's okay because I can review this podcast. So
Do
review the
less dishes and
I
everything.
review the podcast. I review our podcast. I meant host this podcast. I'm a mess. Anyway, let's kick it off to our next game that hopefully will be a lot more put together than I am. It's called Lost in Random. It's a single player action adventure game. Its developer is Zoink. That's the name right there, guys.
Oink.
And it's published by EA. It's coming out on PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. If you're not into Tales of Arise, well, this game might be for you because it comes out on the same day, September 10th. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know anything about this game. I just thought it looked cute, and I was like, that looks neat. Let's talk about it.
I watched the trailer and this looks pretty interesting. Um, I love the whole dice mechanic that it has. I that's something you really don't see in action adventure. We usually think of RNG. You really don't think of a game like this.
The one thing that really drew me to it was the art style. I really, really, really like it. I think it's super fun. It doesn't look overly complicated, which is nice too. Uh, I don't know. I'm really excited for it in all honesty.
It honest to God looks like Tim Burton made a video game, and I love how it looks. I love how it looks. It the one thing that I'm not super sure about is like obviously there's combat and there's cards popping up on the screen, and apparently like you can, I don't know, make your own deck. I don't know, it just seems so interesting. I feel like I haven't really seen anything like this in a while. I'm really glad that EA is actually like trying to publish independent studios games, and like bring them to the forefront, and this just looks so cool.
I mean, I'm very curious to see how this deck building works out, because I feel like that's definitely a really neat concept to add to it, to add to the combat. And I'm not gonna lie, it actually does look child friendly. She uses a slingshot. I would definitely recommend this for teens, not young kids. But still, it definitely just seems really cool. It reminds me of like a storybook, which I think is sort of the concept that they're trying to go for.
Yeah, I can see that.
But we'll have to see.
It's I don't know, it's really cool. I just even like the story. Lost in Random, yeah, it takes place in a place called Random, where an evil queen rules with a mysterious black die that determines the fate of every citizen at the age of 12. The story follows two sisters named Even and Odd, with Odd being abducted by the queen on her 12th birthday, after her roll of the dice granted her a life of luxury in the queen's palace. But a year after Odd was taken, Even receives a mysterious signal that lures her to the Valley of Dice. So the dice seem to be like an extremely big point of the game. Obviously, if you're watching the trailer, because they have a little, even seems to have a little sidekick called Dicey.
I love that. His name is Dicey.
And yeah, like it's just so cool. I'm especially super interested in deck building. I'm having a hard time seeing how that's implemented. Again, they show you a little bit in the trailer, like crafting the deck, but I'm just so intrigued as to like how that could spell I don't know, I guess different builds,
So
different ways of playing through the game.
at least within the bio for the game on the trailer on YouTube, it says that you collect coins on your journey and then you trade them for cards and then you roll dicey to freeze time in deadly dice combat and play your cards to unleash formidable attacks, abilities, combos, and more. You will also meet unpredictable residents and take on courageous quests as you travel deeper into the heart of random. So it's kind of like the cards are almost like your power ups or bonuses. Like you fill up a kind of like filling up a meter and then getting to do like a special attack.
That's interesting. I hope there's a bit more nuance to that, but
Yeah, I'm looking it up, and there are different types of cards. So you got weapon damage, defense, hazard, and cheat. So I'm pretty sure there's going to be, room to be able to like for certain builds and being able to figure out like, how you want your character to play.
And
yeah,
I
I guess I'm
Which,
just looking more like replayability in the building. That's at least where I'm just looking at it. In a deck building
yeah,
game, that's the big thing that I look for.
yeah, I feel like
yeah.
it'll definitely make it interesting for speed runs. So, what cards are the most efficient for me to get through this fight to beat the game faster? I think that will definitely be an interesting side to stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and I
sold.
love, yeah, I was gonna say I love deck building games, so this is the kind of thing I keep my eye on.
I like Tim Burton. I wish Tim Burton made video games.
I mean, you can pretend that he made this one.
I was just about to say, yeah, just pretend, this is a
All
Tim
right,
Burton
all
game.
right. I will. I will. You can't tell me that it doesn't look like Tim Burton though. Come on. It's so
Yeah,
good.
I also think that it's called Lost in Random and it's called Random and it's centered around dice and their names are even and odd. It's literally random. Like that's just random. Like
yeah, it's really
I,
clever.
I think it's great. I think it's great. It fits. I love it so much. Um, but speaking about random things, Diablo 2 Resurrected. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Let's talk about this. Its genre is multiplayer action role playing. It's developed by Vicarious Visions and published by Blizzard Entertainment. It's coming out, a little bit surprised here, Nintendo Switch, PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X. Though also not surprised because Diablo 3 is also on all those as well. And its release date is September 23rd.
Diablo's back, baby. Diablo's back.
I was about to say, talking about demos and stuff. I know, Brennan, you played the beta.
I okay, so I played both betas. I played the original early access beta, which you had to pre-order the game for, and I played the open beta last weekend with some friends. Um, and that didn't really go well at all. So yeah, a lot of people are divided about this game, whether they're new, old, whatever. But the only thing I can say really is it's Diablo 2, but it just looks better. Like, and that's all I've ever really wanted in life. But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know, it feels like WoW Classic. Where if you played WoW Classic somewhat recently, like on a private server or something, you would go, why would anyone want to play this old ass janky piece of shit game over again? Why? There's so many enhancements that's come out since. But meanwhile, WoW Classic boomed when it first came out. Obviously, it was for the sense of community and whatnot, but I feel like that's what's happening here as well. There are so many outdated systems in Diablo 2. It is so hard. You have to, there's a meter for you to run. and if you run out of stamina, you will walk. And it is the most painstaking walk of your goddamn life. Why? Why is that still here? I mean, I know why it's still here. It's working on the source code of the original game. But my God, it's the most 2000 game design aspect I've ever seen in my life. And even when I was playing with it with my other friends that had never played Diablo before, they'd only played the more recent ones, they just thought it was too slow. They thought it was too slow and too janky and too boring, and it, they honestly wish that it had stayed back in like 2001. Meanwhile, I absolutely adored it. I got multiple characters through Act 2 just because I wanted more of it. And I really didn't seem to care about anything. I'm playing it more for the nostalgia, and that's why I'm sticking with it, and my friends haven't. They don't have any connection to this game where I've spent dozens of hours watching my cousin, you know, go through Tristram and save Deckard Cain like a million zillion times. And my God, it just felt so good. Hitting the G key to go back and toggle was the coolest thing because the game looked like complete shit back then. How, oh my God, how did we look at that? How do we even look at that today? I'm going on a complete rant right here. I love Diablo 2. And I even like there's this article where some people are like, some people, one guy on Reddit said those betas were the most fun I've had in a while. It's crazy how well those old mechanics have aged. I don't agree with that, but whatever. Even as annoying as the stamina and the inventory can be, it wouldn't be the same without it. But like, I agree with that. I don't think that these mechanics have aged well, but I think that the game wouldn't be the same had they not been there. Um,
So, do you think it's sort of like a nostalgia factor?
Oh, 100%. I feel like that's all Blizzard does anymore is the nostalgia factor. But at least they put enough love and care into this that most people won't care. Like Warcraft. Warcraft was botched, but a lot of people just bought that just because of nostalgia. Whereas this, to me, in in both of the betas, I don't know, it just felt like so much love was put into the original design of the game. Like I was playing Diablo 2 and I was like, I wish this is what Diablo 3 was like. This is how I imagined and remembered the game looking when I was a kid. Um, but it's absolutely a nostalgia grab. I mean, I can't imagine that anyone who hasn't played Diablo 2, they'll pick this up and love it because they probably won't. But it's not exactly for them either. I mean, it is for them to be like, hey, this is what this was all about 20 years ago. And a lot of people have a really hard time doing that. Like, try picking up a game from 2006 and sticking with it. It's really a lot harder than you'd imagine, just because of what we're used to today. You know, most games don't have a stamina meter. I mean, they do, but it's like a sprint, not your standard walking, right? So, like, that it just completely baffles most people. Also the idea of like having to look up a build beforehand because because you're afraid of making a mistake. I mean, that fear is real. I mean, most games don't really have that nowadays. Most games have free respecs or whatever, but no, Diablo 2 wants you to know that if you make a mistake, you're not going to get to the hell difficulty. Like there are free respecs. I mean, there are free respecs. There was one in the beta, and there was one that I read that would be coming after the game's release, but it would be much, much harder to get. I don't know. I can see how I just feel like the dedicated fans will love this. And anyone new to the series will be like, I don't know what the fuck this is. This should have stayed back in 2001. Because that's at least my experience versus the experiences my friends had who had never even seen Diablo 2. They had been asking me for months what the deal was. And when I tried to show it to them and played it with them, no one even made it past through Act 1 because they just thought it was too old. And so in a long roundabout way, yes, 100% nostalgia, at least in my eyes.
That's honestly why I'm gonna get this game. Me and my brothers back in the day, we played Diablo together. So this is really appealing to us because we love the old Diablos. We want to get this. We want to kick some ass together like the old days.
Exactly. And that's sometimes it's all you need. Sometimes it's really all you need. And I mean, as a fan of Diablo for years, this is really I'm truly, really, the only thing I could have asked for was just Diablo 2 with a new fresh coat of paint. And to me, they delivered on that tenfold. It looks, I mean, it doesn't look amazing. Okay, they're working on the source code. They can only make it look so good, but it looks the way I remembered it. It looks the way that it felt like it did when I played it originally. So it's really hard to go back, with the toggle to look like what it looked back in 2001. Um, but it's just one of those things where you're like, this is how far we've come in this long, and it's just cool, man. It's just really cool saving Deckard Cain like 1,000 times in Tristram. I will never get old. It will never get old. Did you play the beta, Mike?
No, I didn't get to play the beta.
Damn. Dude, I just wanted to play as a necromancer, but they didn't even have that in the beta. There was no assassin and no necromancer.
See, people, your girl done lucked out. And you're probably sitting there going, why, Haley? Because I started with Diablo 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So,
look, I'm not going to get into my feelings on Diablo 3. We're
well,
going to be here for another hour.
I mean, I just bring it up because it's like everyone talks about how good Diablo 2 is, and I'm like, I played 3 and I liked it. Like, honestly, I loved it. I got it when in 2018, and that's all I played freshman year. There's multiple people that can sit there and talk about it. I even have it for the PS4. It used to be my go-to game when I'd come home from work at 4 in the morning to sit there and play while I listened to Drake and not Jason Derulo, Bryson Tiller in my feelings at 4:30 in the morning. That's what I'd play. So I feel like I would have a hard time playing this game because it's not how Diablo 3 is. And I like Diablo 3. Would I give it a shot? Sure. But I honestly do not think I'd like it.
Yeah, because I've played all three of them. I'm old, so I was around when the first one released and played that back then, way back in the day. Three was good, but I feel two was like the pinnacle of the series. Um, because I put a few hours into three, but two was like, no, two. When you want to play Diablo, two is the go-to title. I'm saying two too many times. Is the main title that I think people should really get into and play. Might ruin the rest of the series for you, but it is, the quintessential Diablo experience.
Totally agree with that. I mean, most of my friends that I'd played with had also started with 3 Haley. So like you would probably be in the same boat as they were, where they were expecting one thing and they kind of got something completely different. And that's kind of my feelings on 3, where like I'd played 2 so much as a kid. And I say so much, and it's also as a child, so I don't even really remember half of it, but it's just the idea of it being ingrained in my childhood that I'm like, this is what an ARPG is. And going to 3, I was noticeably disappointed just because it wasn't the same. I mean, maybe it's the primacy effect, the first thing that you ingest, you're going to look at that as the pedestal, maybe. But I don't know. I feel like it would be pretty hard for people to just randomly pick up Diablo 2 out of nowhere. You'd really have to kind of know what you're getting yourself into before you do it. But my goodness, it's such a thrill. It's not really like any other game out there. Because I mean, there it is and there hasn't been. There's been a lot of ARPGs, but to me, Diablo just nails the atmosphere. It nails pretty much everything. The music is beautiful. The music is absolutely phenomenal. And that was like one of the best things about playing the demo is just hearing the twangy guitar again. And the intro music is like, ooh, literal goosebumps, man.
You
But
good there?
it's yes, yeah, totally. But it's coming from a complete nostalgia place. So that's my only warning, I guess, to people is just know what you're getting yourself into before trying it if you haven't played Diablo 2 before. But if you somehow didn't play the early access beta and you play Diablo 2, I would say, hell yeah, this is exactly what you're envisioning. It's Diablo 2 with a new fresh coat of paint. Love it or hate it. It's a 20-year-old game. Yeah, you're gonna have to take it. You know what I mean?
And that's
I mean, I don't really know what people expect. It's a 20-year-old game, so I think that
Exactly.
This
basically
was
sums that up.
I was about to say, when a game's 20 years old, you got to understand that there's going to be certain mechanics and stuff that are way different from what, we've evolved into.
Yeah, I was gonna
But
say we've come a long way since 2001.
but I do feel if you play 3 and you like 3, this is a good one. If you've never experienced Diablo before, I feel this is, where you should jump into it. Like I said, it might ruin the rest of the series for you, but I mean, if you want to play the good ass Diablo that everybody remembers, this is the one.
Definitely think, though, I agree with Brennan. If you started off with 3, definitely check to see what you're getting yourself into before you spend that time, because the games obviously are two very different things. So that wraps up our preview and review portion for August and September. But before we go, we have our new little segment that still doesn't have a name. The stupid
We're
shit we
terrible.
see on Reddit. I don't know. We'll come up with something clever eventually. But this month we are going to talk about competitive Stardew Valley. There's a post on Reddit titled Stardew Valley creator to host Stardew Valley esports competition with over a 40K prize pool. 1, that's a lot of money. 2, how do you make Stardew competitive? These are questions that we all have that we hopefully will get answers to soon on September 4th, 9 a.m. PST. Now, the Twitter post does say, in collaboration with Unsurpassable Z, I'm pleased to announce the first official Stardew Valley Cup. It's a competition of skill, knowledge, teamwork with a prize pool of over $40,000. See some of Stardew's most dedicated players in their element. The words Stardew and competitive has never crossed my mind. Should probably not be in the same sentence.
Yeah, we were talking about this before the podcast, and I was just like, how? Like, I really don't understand. I mean, do they got to get to a certain point first? Do they have to do certain achievements? Like, I really don't understand. Like, if they're gonna just say, here's the end date. Whoever gets the most done by this date wins. Like, I really don't understand how this game can be competitive.
Yeah, like Stardew Valley is a long game. Like it's a really long game, especially if you're trying to play for efficiency. It's a really long game, and so like I guess one thing I want to know is like how long it's gonna run for. Like I just have so many questions. Like they in the video they show groups, like group stages. And I don't know if these people are working together, like the 4 of them are working together against other groups of 4, or if the 4 people individually in the group are then ranked individually. And if they do, it's like, is it who has the most money? Is it who donated most to the museum? Like there are so many levels of success in Stardew Valley. There's so many different ways to play. Um, I mean, you're either collecting everything or you're making a ton of money, I guess. But I don't know who completes the museum the fastest. Who gets all the legendary fish the fastest? Like, come on,
Yeah.
there's so many different things.
Well, and
Like,
at the same exact time, it's like, are day cycles going to work the same? Like, are you still working on this calendar schedule? It's like, how does this all work? I'm assuming it's going to, and it's like, is it team based, dedicated players? Is it 1v1? Is it team based? Like, how does competitive Stardew work? I'm so confused.
no idea. I think the prize pool is another thing that's of note. 40K.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
lot of money.
especially for something like, I mean, Stardew's huge. It's sold a bajillion copies. Concerned Ape has done a great job at that game, has released free updates for forever now. The game is bigger than what it was when it first came out. It's a fantastic game that everyone has nothing but great things to say about it. And honestly, it's like, I know it's not necessarily the OG of what it is, but when you think of games similar to that, the very first game that comes to your mind is Stardew. So I'm sort of just like, wow, that's a lot of money, but at the same exact time, it's not, because Stardew has gained so much money and is continuing to gain so much money with every single copy that it sells, but at the same exact time, it's like $40,000 for competitive Stardew, of all things.
The other thing that I don't really understand, I'm not gonna call anyone out, but in the Twitter thread, someone was kind of um, saying that Stardew Valley is like a comfort game. I don't know what planet this person's on, but I get so much anxiety playing Stardew Valley where I'm like, I have to maximize efficiency in everything. So I feel like that does lend itself well to competitive gaming somehow. If you're really trying to min-max plays and like being through your most efficient route, and even when I've played Stardew Valley with other friends, we always like to have little competitions with each other, like who has the most money, or I don't know, who donates. Like I can sort of see how this works, but just not on a scale like this, and not with 40K on the line. Like,
Well, I definitely get where that person's coming from, because it's like, depending on how you play Stardew, it can determine, like, is this a comfort game for you, or is this like a game that you see as, well, I need to do everything the fastest. So I completely understand that. I'm somewhere in the middle. Like, I think of Stardew as a comfort game, but at the same exact time, I'm just like, I want all the money in the world so I can do everything right now, and I can buy every single thing, and I can maximize my house. It's like I've gotten to the point where it's like I just gather eggs and milk and turn it into cheese, and I go sell that shit for a buttload of money, and then I'm just like, okay, I'm done.
and like, when would the stop point be at? Like, how long are these people going to be playing? There's just so many questions. Are they doing
Lots
one
of
month?
questions.
Are they doing a week? Are they doing a year? Are they doing 3 years?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Are we really gonna see how many candles, like the grandpa's candles? How many of those are we gonna be? That's a
Yeah.
lot of
Like,
game time, man.
I feel like there's definitely, I don't know, the way that they say it, and he says main event. So, is there small events going on? Like, what is it? Like, I feel like the main core thing is going to be speedrunning. I think that's probably going to be the main focus, is you have to speedrun this whole game, but in order to get first place, you have to hit all these different events. Like, you have to grow an apple tree, and you have to romance like this person, you have to get all the hearts for everybody, and it's just gonna see like who can do that in the fastest, maybe even the shortest amount of time as well, like in-game time. Like,
Hmm.
okay, Joe is at 4 years and he's completed these events, but Tanner over here is at 2 years and he's already completed more events than Joe Schmo #1. So I wonder if that might be a thing as well. Honestly, it's so hard to say because
Honestly,
really
I
getting
probably
anything.
I probably will watch this just to see how they do competitive Stardew. Like, I am so curious on that. That's probably gonna draw me into this.
Okay. I because I don't know how to read, I scrolled down a little bit, and Blue Nosed Coop said that Twitch did it twice before with their Twitch rival series for Stardew. The rules on one of them were 10 teams of 4 people. Teams will compete over 6 hours, beginning with a brand new map for each team. Teams will attempt to accomplish the following challenges: complete the most bundles. The teams compete to compose and deliver the most bundles to the corresponding bundle rooms in the community center. Teams will be ranked based on the number of bundles delivered, followed by the least amount of time. Earn the most gold. Teams compete to earn the most gold within the designated tournament period. Mines Deep Divers. Teams compete to reach the bottom-most floor of the mines. Master Curator. Teams compete to collect and deliver the most rare items to the museum in the least amount of time and obtain legendary fish. Teams compete to catch all 5 legendary fish in the least amount of time. They also said that other ones that they think were fastest, marriage, and kids. Somebody also said there's literally an esports scene for farming simulator. People can figure out how to make any game into an esports if they try enough by Slicer forever. So yeah, it's basically do all these things in the least amount of time.
Pretty much everything that we said before.
I mean, I'll be very curious to see if they add something new besides that, especially because there's that like little beach area now. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's cool, but at the same exact time, it's like, how do you spice up Stardew esports?
God, I have no idea. I'm still trying to wrap my head around Stardew and esports in the same sentence.
In the same sentence.
Turn to a drinking game. Take a shot every week.
Oh my god.
Jesus Lord. I think some people would have alcohol poisoning. And on that note, we are going to end this episode of the pre-review crew for August and September. Come back next month to figure out if we're still alive with that alcohol poisoning or not. But until then, I hope you have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you are. Stay safe out there, guys. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye.